World Religions in 7 Sentences, a small introduction to a vast topic. Douglas Groothuis provides the reader with a swift and easy-to-read-through tour of the 7 major world religions. And I think this book should be a valuable resource for many people in the church. We all have opportunities to share our faith if we're open to those moments. And while the majority of the people that we speak to in America will come from a Christian background of some sort, even if they reject the gospel, we will still have opportunities to speak with atheists, Muslims, and Jews. Not to mention the Eastern religions that we probably wouldn't even know how to speak with someone who has those faiths: Hinduism, Buddhism, and Taoism. And if we're honest, most of us aren't ready to engage with individuals who hold those faiths. Well, Dr. Groothuis is here not to give us a complete, in-depth overview of these faiths, but to give us 7 simple, one-sentence summaries, so you can know where they're coming from, and Lord willing, share your faith in a way that is a little bit more likely to persuade them to believe the gospel. Welcome to Rev Reads. If you want to discover more books that'll help you to understand the faiths of those you're trying to win for Christ, please subscribe to the channel in order to stay up to date with our most current reviews. Also, please like and share this video with others to help them know about the work of Douglas Groothuis. World Religions in 7 Sentences gives us one-sentence summaries of the following religions. Atheism: God is dead. Judaism: I am who I am. Hinduism: you are that. Buddhism: life is suffering. Taoism: the Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao. Christianity: before Abraham was born, I am. And Islam: there is one God, and Muhammad is his prophet. And through those sentences, we're able to sort of encapsulate each of those religions. The most interesting of the religions to read about in the book was Hinduism, because I don't know much about Hinduism, Buddhism, or Taoism, and I felt like Hinduism made the most sense out of those 3 religions. Reading Taoism at times was the most difficult, because if you think about it, any religion that says the Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao, putting a description of that faith into words is going to be difficult. The atheism chapter was, I would say, the most surprising, because I don't know if this was how he intended, but Groothuis really shows how those who label themselves as atheists, it's not so much that they believe that there is no God, it's more that they're anti-God. So it's that God is dead, not that God isn't real. Someone who believes that God isn't real, but they don't really care about it, they would be in the agnostic camp. But when you look at atheists, they hate the God that they believe doesn't exist. And if I could have changed one chapter, the chapter I would have changed would have been the one on Judaism. I would have liked to learn more about modern Judaism in that chapter. I went to Israel a few years ago to do some evangelism work in Jerusalem, not a sightseeing tour. But before I spoke to the Jews, I had sort of a crash course in modern day Judaism, and I would have liked to see some of that information included in that chapter. Instead, it was all rooted in the Hebrew Bible, and it was good stuff. It just didn't really touch on the modern religious Jew. He did a really good job on the chapter on Islam, showing how Islam is based on a twisting of the Bible, and there are places where they agree with Christianity, and then others where they go far, far astray. So overall, this book does a really good job helping the reader to be able to feel like they can have conversations with unbelievers of various faiths. I think probably the best way to read this book: purchase it, skim through the book, pay attention to that chapter on Christianity because it's really good, but then hold on to this book. Put it on your bookshelf for that day where you have a Buddhist coworker, or when you're sitting next to a Muslim parent all year long during your kids' soccer season. And then go back and read through that chapter on Hinduism or that chapter on Islam, and then use that information when you dive deep then to have those conversations. And if you're ever going to sit down with someone who practices Taoism, well, you should pray a lot first. And I gotta say, out of all of the sentences he could have picked for Christianity, before Abraham was born, I am. I love that selection. To me, that is the most important self-declaration that Jesus made in the four Gospels. To me, it's just so great. There's so much depth into the meaning of that statement, before Abraham was, I am. And there's especially a lot of depth and worth into it when we're comparing how Christians view Jesus in comparison to how all the other world religions view our Savior. So if you want to get the big contrast between how a Christian views Jesus versus the other world religions, you see so much of it in that simple phrase. So if you want to know how to present Jesus in light of atheism, Judaism, and Islam especially, for those three, that one claim by Jesus will take you a long way. And I also really liked in his chapter on Christianity where he talked about Jesus and intellect. Jesus is a wonderful intellect, and we should use that fact about his ministry and his interactions with the religious leaders in our apologetics. World Religions in 7 Sentences is a great way to get an overview of the 7 world religions in an easy read. In a world where it's so hard to get through a lot of the books we want to read, this is a nice short one that's easy to get through. So if you are interested in the perspective of other faiths, other world religions, so that you can better share your faith with them, this is a great book to pick up.